Welcome back to another episode of Link by Golf. I'm your host Ross McGuire, and this is a podcast where we dive into the journeys of people whose lives have been shaped by this incredible sport. Whether you're a player, coach, fan, or just love a great story, this is a place for you. Today we're joined by Scottish golf professional John Henry. From his early days honing his skills in Scotland's world famous courses to competing at the highest levels, John has lived and breathed the game. We'll talk about his experiences in professional golf, the lessons he's learned along the way, and what it takes to succeed in such a competitive sport. Before we get started though with John and my new partner Lomond Golf Tours, if you're enjoying the podcast, please take a moment to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories from guests across the world of golf. This episode is brought to you with support from Lomond Golf Tours. To kick off with the new partnership, let's hear some insights into their offerings.
At Lomond Golf Tours Scotland, we understand that choosing the perfect golf trip can bring its challenges. With more than 500 golf courses in Scotland and another 2,000 around the UK and Ireland, many of our guests don't know where to start. But for Lomond Golf Tours, it's not just about the golf, it's about providing an experience that will exceed expectations, that will turn dreams into realities, and that will create memories that last a lifetime. Lomond Golf Tours have helped thousands of guests build bespoke golf trips to create a magical experience. Travel in style, whether executive chauffeur travel, whether it's golf on a major championship venue or one of our hidden gems, 5-star accommodation or a boutique bed and breakfast, or is it whisky tasting on a private boat? Lomond Golf Tours are here to help build the tour of a lifetime. Whether you're celebrating a special occasion or ticking it off your bucket list, embark on a trip that you'll remember forever. To learn more about our offerings for 2025 and beyond, visit www.lomondgolftours.com.
Thanks again to Lomond Golf Tours for their support. Now let's get into today's conversation with John Henry. Welcome to this week's episode, John Henry. John, how you doing? Great to see you, man.
I'm good, Ross. Thanks for having me on. How are you getting on?
Yeah, pretty well. So the format for the podcast is really simple, John, in terms of starting. Literally, where are you from and how did you get into golf?
Okay, so I'm from Clydebank, which is about 15-20 minutes west of Glasgow, and my golfing career kind of started. Well, before I was born, my dad put me down for the waiting list at Clydebank and District Golf Club, which at the time the waiting list there was about 9 years. Which
Seriously, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Which it probably was. I mean, that's 32 years ago. It shows you how strong golf club memberships were back then. Everywhere was always a waiting list of X amount of years. And when I turned 6 years old, one of the committee members at the golf club phoned my dad and says, "Look, John's name's now up. We normally don't take any juniors in until they're kind of 9 years old, and like we've seen him bouncing about the golf club with you, kind of pushing your trolley and stuff. Would be like happy to give him his membership now if you think he's ready for it." So
you were only 6 when you joined?
Yeah, and then like the first few years of being a member of the golf club, it was basically just going up and playing a handful of holes, and then I kind of got the bug from about 10, 11 years old.
Brilliant. And then I know that you wanted to turn professional quite early, but at 10 or 11 you're starting to play a lot more. When did you feel like you really started progressing and sort of saw that you were moving on with your golf quite a bit?
Well, like I said, the first few years, from like 6 years old to 10, I would go up. I'd play the meadow. I'd shoot 100 odd. I didn't really quite get the bug then, and then about 10, 11, there was a good squad around my age, and then even some of the older boys that I'm still friends with now. I've got a great friendship groups that came through that golf club. That kind of kicked off my golf bug. Going up every day after school, there was about 15 to 20 of us that kind of pitched up and were playing different wee sweeps or chomp challenge, we used to call it. So we used to play for a chomp chocolate bar.
For a chomp.
So back then it was
Superb.
only 10 pence, but it's probably about 70 pence now a chomp. So I done that for 4 or 5 years, and then started winning junior club championships and got a bit of success at the club golfing, and thought this is kind of what I want to do going forward.
Yeah, and then we're getting really good within the club. Did you start getting into sort of county golf and beyond?
I also went and played, got selected for the county team matches, county coaching, playing obviously different junior opens, different Scottish boys, Scottish under-16s, under-14s, but never with that much success.
Uh-huh.
And then it got to like the age that you could potentially leave school of 16, 17, and I was definitely want to be on the golf course more than at school, which I would recommend any kids don't do and stick in at school and go and get a higher education.
Of course.
But yeah, as soon as I could leave school, I think I went halfway through my 5th year, and one of the teachers pulled me outside and says, "Where were you last week?" And I was like, "I was away playing a golf tournament." And he actually shouted at me and says, "Do you think golf's more important than being at school?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, because I quite enjoy it a lot more, and I didn't go down so well." So I think a few weeks after that, I realised that it was time to leave school.
Fantastic. But then, I mean, not long after that, I guess you must have been, what, 17 or almost 18 then, John, you
hmm
turned pro. So what was it like turning professional?
Well, I went to the Europro qualifying with my older brother Scott, um, mainly just to chum him. But my dad says, "Look, I'll pay your entry fee, and you can go along and kind of use it as a warm up for the Scottish boys," which was the following week. I think it was at Royal Aberdeen that year, or
Uh-huh.
maybe West. I think it was at Royal Aberdeen. It was scheduled to be that year. I was like, all right, fair enough, that'll be great. And then went down, played the 2 rounds, made the cut, and then ended up. I think if you made the cut, you got a full cards on that tour for the year.
That's
So
awesome.
I ended up coming back home with a playing category on the Europro, which would get me back into all the events. And Scott also got his playing rights in the Europro that year, so it was a good week down there. But I wasn't expecting to go down and turn pro at the end of it, kind of thing.
So did you turn pro right away as soon as
Yeah,
you got
so
that?
I think my dad phoned me after the final round. He was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, how am I going to manage to like fund playing golf?" And he went, "Look, I'll cover you for the first year. I'll figure it out." So after I finished my final round, I obviously had the conversation with him. I went back into the tournament office and says, "Right, I want to turn pro." And you basically just sign a form, and that was it.
That's awesome.
So I
That's a
think
brilliant story. So you
he's
went in there
got
to keep Scott company and you've ended up turning pro at the end of the
a
rounds.
pretty
Wow.
much, and then I think he's got a local business in Clydebank. He's a garage Dalmere Motors, and he kind of went around all his kind of business friends and our various family members and says, "Look, John's turning pro. Would there be any chance you could help him out a bit?" And they all kind of plugged together a wee bit of cash, and that's what kept us going the first year,
That's brilliant. So what
which
was
was a
that
big
first
learning
what was that
curve.
first year like then? Just one minute you're at school, next minute you're turning pro and then you're on the road. What was it
Yeah,
like?
it was really good. It was great fun. I was definitely playing out of my depth, but any of the kind of if you speak to anybody that goes away and play on any of these tours, we're a good group of people as Scots, and we stick together. So all the fellow Scottish pros were quite supportive of me, and they
Uh-huh.
were quite happy to help me out in different parts of my game, or even just kind of humouring me with a bit of chat and stuff like that, which was good.
That's really cool though. So what kind of places were you going? Europro was mostly pretty much UK and Ireland, right? What kind of
I was
places were
just
you going to?
UK and Ireland. Mainly the Euro Pro was all based around the M25. Sometimes you went quite far southwest. I think we went to a
Okay.
place called Bovey Castle,
Right.
which which me thinking about how far southwest that is from me at the moment is miles away.
Yeah.
But, and then we went over to Ireland to play a couple of events as well. So didn't have much success. I think I made one cut in the whole year. So it was a big learning curve.
Well, listen, that was even more than what Justin Rose did in his first 21
Well,
events, so
true. Absolutely true. So
fantastic.
after that, I played the following season on the Europro. Didn't have much finance to play with, so I only played maybe 70% of the events.
Uh-huh.
But during that year, I had heard of other folk doing like a golf day to kind of help fund their golf seasons.
Yep.
So I approached the course at Clybank District, who, I mean, even from 6 years old, were amazing from me right up until this current time. I asked them, would I be able to hold a kind of golf day at the golf club? And they were like, absolutely no worries. Anything you want us to do, we're more than happy to support. So I think I ran that golf day, for about 10 years, which was amazing.
Wow.
The golf club were so good with me, and they've got a good big clubhouse there. They put the course in excellent condition for the event and stuff like that, and they kind of rallied around all the local members and businesses to help out, as obviously did I. But no, it was really good of them.
And it's a really good experience for you at such a young age when you started it, John,
No,
to be
absolutely.
getting people together and organising a tournament.
Big times. I think we've kind of had from 140 to 180 each of the different events that we done each year. So it was quite a lot of organising and admin and stuff like that. But basically, after I'd done the first three or four, like every time the new season started, I would meet guys at the golf club or over at the driving range. They'd be like, "What date's your golf day this year, big man?" I was like, "Oh, we're going to need to do this again, aren't we?" So that was
That's
good.
really cool.
And then the following season, I was then able to play a full year on the Europro again. After that, I went on to play a couple of seasons on the Alps Tour, which
Yeah.
was really good. Good to kind of learn how to travel and book hotels, and like we played in court. We went to countries like Tunisia, Egypt, obviously your kind of mainland Europe. I went to a place called Guadeloupe, which I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's in the French West Indies.
There you go.
So if you look at basically Florida in the map and you go straight down, one of those islands down there is Guadeloupe.
Jeez, that's
So
incredible.
yeah,
And the Alps tour, I mean, a lot of guys went to Alps tour as well, didn't they? Even,
yeah,
from Scotland and all over Europe and elsewhere.
yeah. Well, I think obviously Scott had went out there, I think 2014 or 2015, and then qualified up onto the Challenge Tour through that. So
Uh-huh.
I think I went out the following season, or it might have been he was out in 2012 and I went out in 2013. Played
Yeah,
that for a few years. That kind of works time date wise there.
yeah.
But it was good. They looked after you well, and obviously the weather and the courses you were going to were a lot better. So
That's unbelievable. And then I noticed as well that did you work at Mar Hall Golf Resort as well? And were you turning, or not turning, but were you doing your PGA at that time?
no, I had always put my PGA off, just because to do your PGA you need to do a certain amount of hours a week, and
Yeah.
obviously we're traveling about playing these various tours. I could never really commit to giving or to doing these hours. So
Uh-huh.
I think I started at Mar Hall in that kind of year where I didn't have much funding. So it was like 2011.
Right.
I worked there in the kind of golf operations team, so helping running the golf days, kind of doing the behind the till in the pro shop, kind of getting the range sorted, ranging the course and stuff like that. So I worked there for about 6 years,
Uh-huh.
which was great. Good experience, and got to know a lot of good people. And obviously, I got used to that golf course while I was there as well, which
Right.
at the time was it was pretty much brand new, so it was brilliant. And we had a Europro event there,
Yeah.
so it was good to kind of play and practice on a course that you were going to be competing on that season, which was great.
Yeah, and I was going to
And
say you're getting that opportunity. I know you're working obviously at the same time, but I guess when you're finishing, you can go out, or even if you get down there early, you can hit balls, get out and play, and get a bit of practice round the side of it as well.
no, exactly. And the resort there has just been bought over by a Emirati company, so I think they're ploughing money into it. And by what I hear, the course is starting to get back to the condition that it once was. So it should be pretty exciting things there over the next few years as well, which will be good.
That's awesome. Brilliant. And I read as well, John, that well, I guess experiences you've talked about from a young age was, arranging these golf tournaments and then working at Mar Hall. You founded Big Johnson's Tour in
Yeah.
2016. So I'd love to hear about this because I've seen a lot of updates about it and a lot of excitement for fellow pros. So what got you into it and how's it gone?
So basically, the Big Johnson's Tour, the name just comes from a nickname that my brother Scott gave me.
Right.
But basically, in 2016, all the kind of guys that I was playing with at a professional level of the kind of Europro Alps Tour kind of league, if you want to call it, were all like, pardon me, there's not enough golf competitions for us to play in. We're all either trying to meet up ourselves and play four balls or practicing on our own. Obviously, if you were to play in any of the PGA stuff, you had to be PGA qualified. So that ruled out any professionals that weren't PGA qualified. So I thought, why not just set up a kind of sweep style event and we'll call it Big Johnson's Tour. So
Awesome.
Mar Hall hosted the first one,
Uh-huh.
and I think we had about 20 odd pros, and we all chipped in our own money.
Yep.
And Kylie Henry, who's Scott's wife, played with us, played from the same tees as us, and won.
Wow.
So she beat us up.
That's
So
awesome.
that was good. And then kind of various years, it's kind of fluctuated how many events we've had, but we've tried to do some 1 day events and then some kind of 2 day events, 18 holes each day, order of merits. We've had a bit of sponsorship through the years as well, which has been amazing. And I think the last full kind of order of merit season we done, we had the winner getting their tour school entry fee paid for them.
Well,
So
that's
that was like
fantastic.
£2,000, I'm sure. I think it was Callum Fife that won it.
That is brilliant. Wow.
Yeah, so he got his tour school entry fee paid,
That's superb.
which was
So,
brilliant.
and I mean, for this year, are you keeping the tour going and what kind of
Well,
things are going on?
basically, um, at St Andrews Links, John Grant through Gordon Rafferty, we had an event at the Jubilee 5 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and basically every year when we finish playing on that day, I just email the kind of admin team at the links saying thanks very much, and they come straight back to me saying no worries, this is your date for next year.
Right.
So we've got that. I think off the top of my head, it's the 9th and 10th of April this year.
Uh-huh.
We've got enough space for 20 pros, and it's £200 per pro to enter. And we're playing one round in the Jubilee, one round in the Castle course, and all
Well,
the
that sounds great.
£200. Basically, all the entry fees go into the prize fund. So
Yeah, that
we'll
sounds
pay
awesome.
out the top 4 or 5 players, and if we get 20 players, it'll be a £4,000 prize fund,
That's awesome.
which will be good.
And
Which, if you think about it, there'll be loads of golf pros in Scotland going to practice or play a game, maybe on their own,
yeah,
but they can basically chuck in £200, come and play, and they might go up the road with just short of £2,000. So
well,
it's
and the experience of just getting competition reps as
no,
well,
exactly.
where they could just be out with one of their mates playing for a tenner and not necessarily feeling anything, but suddenly they've got a couple of grand in front of them to chase.
Yeah,
The
big time.
perspective might change a wee bit.
No, absolutely. And then I think that's where, like, for Scottish professionals, has been the main benefit of the Tartan Pro Tour. Obviously,
Yeah,
Paul Laurie and Mikey McDougall and his team have came along and set that up kind of just as we're coming out of COVID. 6 events to start with in 2020, and then it's just kind of growing from strength to strength each year after that, which has been great for Scottish professionals, I think. Obviously,
yeah,
they've got the
absolutely.
incentives of Challenge Tour cards now, and maybe the odd invite here and there as well, which has been brilliant.
Yeah, and I was going to say, just coming back to the Jubilee course, how tough is that place? Oh my God.
The last 5 or 6 holes, the wind is always kind of into off the
Yeah,
right. It's definitely make your score in the first 12 holes and hold on for dear life coming in.
and it doesn't matter too much what tees you're playing off either. It's brutal no matter where
No,
you
not
play
at all.
from.
I remember there was one year we were playing that 18th hole, and obviously you get the greenkeepers sheds up the right hand side.
Uh-huh.
But the worry was, so obviously there's out of bounds up the left, but you're kind of obviously trying to keep it up the right hand side. But I'm sure there was one time I stood in that tee and I was like, the ball's going absolutely nowhere today into this wind. If I hit it too far right, am I even going to clear the greenkeeper's sheds? So fortunately, we managed to just squeeze it over it.
Yeah. And then the Castle course, I mean, I've only played it once, but it was not easy. It was
No,
reasonably
it's
windy that day. It's a beautiful place, but it's
yeah,
not an easy course to play either.
no, the greens are very tough on it. They're quite undulating, and they can
Yeah.
tuck the pins away as well for you on certain days, which is obviously very challenging. Which is what we as professionals are kind of wanting to be tested on as well, which is good.
Oh, absolutely. And then you mentioned Paul Laurie's Tartan Pro Tour. Have you been playing on that as well?
Yeah, so I played on that basically since it kicked off in 2020. Played, I have basically played every year on that, which has been great.
Fantastic. And I noticed as well, I mean, alongside that, the Scottish Par 3 Championship, does Paul run that as well?
Yeah, so
Which you've
that's it.
won.
Yeah, I won that in what year was that? Was that 2020?
Think so, yeah.
I think it was. Yeah, so basically, and just before COVID of 2020, I started working with Alan McCloskey, and don't know if you know Alan at all.
Yeah, aye. He's had the benefit of seeing my swinging video and then commenting on it. I don't know how that went, but
Oh dear.
he was good. He was great. I don't
So I
know
went to
about me.
see Alan in November 2019. Was working away with him for a few months, and then kind of COVID hit. So was hitting shots out the back garden. He was kind of doing like you've just said, commenting on your swing and trying to help you out as time goes by. But once we got back into being able to go and visit, uh, get out in the open again, I went for a lesson with Alan. Um, I just said to him, look, this has obviously been a wee lifeline for my golf game. I think this is an opportunity this year to try and do something and get somewhere with my golf. And he was like, no, I think you're right. And this is what we're going to do, X, Y, and Z. And later on that season, we won the Scottish Par 3 Championships, which was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then, not the only thing as well, you set a course record at Dumbarnie. Walk me
Oh,
through that.
yes. Um, that was a pretty flawless day up until the last hole. But it was basically, I had it great, tee to green, and any shot that I hit inside 15, 20 feet, they were just straight in, basically, which was great. Have you played at Dumbarnie yet?
No, no, not yet, no. I've
Oh,
heard
it's really
very
good.
good things about it.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's very playable for all levels of golfers, but they can obviously trick it up when they want to, and obviously the Scottish conditions can do that on their own as well. But it was so I was 11 under, going down the 18.
As you do.
Yeah, had a decent tee shot. Had about 165 into the for my second shot. and just kind of pushed it out to the right, short right of the green. And I was in a kind of wet area, and I was thinking, I'll just make sure you clip this up onto the green, give yourself a putt. Worst case scenario, you're away with a bogey. And I chumped it in front of me.
Oh my God.
And it
What a
went up the
shame.
slope and came back to my feet.
Oh
And
no.
then, of course, as any golfer does, after a jump, they slightly scull the next one.
Nice.
So I sculled that onto about 35, 40 feet and rolled in it my fifth shot up to about 2 foot and tapped it in for a double bogey.
Oh, for
Yeah,
9 under. What's the par in there? Is it 72?
yeah, 72.
Jeez.
But
So,
it was like a 15, 20 mile an hour wind as well that day, but
oh
I
dear.
had played brilliant for the first 17 holes, and then it was a bit disappointing, but still at the same time, it was a great round of golf.
Sounds like you were a preacher out of Caddyshack for 17 holes. And then literally get hit by lightning on the 18th. Wow, what a round. That's incredible. So is that
It was,
still is that still the course record as well?
it is from the 80s, like that's the furthest back I think they've played any competition golf. There's
Uh-huh.
another set of tees that are even further back, but I think the course at that length is about 7,500 yards or something.
What?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. That's
hmm
huge.
Yeah. So
Jeez.
I think Rick Shields and Bob Does Sports, they done a YouTube at Dumbarnie,
Right.
and the four of them played. It was either, I think they played a Texas Scramble for the front nine. If you watch the video, they try and beat the front nine course record. So I I think they either managed to tie me or they beat me by one, the four of
There you go.
them. Which is pretty
Awesome.
cool that they're doing a YouTube video on that. So it's
You
good.
should just hit them up and say, look, if you really want to beat this record, I'll come with
Let's do a head to head.
you. Oh, that would be funny. That'd be awesome. And then, John, you mentioned the PGA training, so you're doing that just now then, as well?
Yes, so I'm currently in my second year of my PGA training. Um, Basically in 2022, I started working with Wilson.
Uh-huh.
So I'm their tech rep in Scotland. So basically that means I go around all their Wilson accounts doing the fitting days for them. Traditionally
Awesome.
known as demo days, but we're trying to be a bit more premium and call them fitting days now, as any brand is.
Uh-huh.
So I've been doing that for this is me going into my third season now. And through doing that, I've been able to enrol in the PGA. So it's been great. Definitely something that I should have done years ago, but now I've obviously got the time to do so. I mean, on the Tartan Pro Tour, we're only playing 14 3-day events, which is what's
Uh-huh.
that, 42 rounds a year.
But I guess what I mean, obviously your playing experience, John, and then with the fitting side of things you're into as well, but your experience of organising events and things, that you've obviously got a great insight into golf as an industry too.
No, it's been brilliant, like bringing the knowledge that I had prior to starting with Wilson to kind of knowledge that I'm adding working with Wilson and then doing the PGA. So it's no, it's my kind of work life is going quite well as well. So it's been good. Obviously,
Fantastic.
they've just brought out some new product recently, which is very impressive, much improved on the previous models as well. So it's like everything's going good at the moment. So
Well, that's really cool. So then, John, we'll jump into some rapid fire. So, favourite golf course in Scotland?
Loch Lomond,
Well, that's a beauty.
mm.
And have you played that quite a few times?
Yeah, just because of the like Clydebank I live in, we've got a few kind of local businessmen that are members down there. So fortunately get the invite down to play there kind of once or twice a year, which is brilliant. Have you played it?
Superb. No, not yet.
Oh
Not
dear.
yet.
Is this you asking the public audience for a game at Loch Lomond?
I know a couple of members,
Hmm?
so they may or may not be listening. And if they are listening, they could think about taking me up there. And I promise to practice, so I'm not shooting 105, maybe just 95.
No, it's Loch Lomond's aye. On a decent day, it's the best place in the world.
Fantastic.
You get well looked after when you're down there as well, which is always good.
Yeah, absolutely. And then speaking of playing partners, Dream 4 ball. Who's your other three for a Dream 4 ball?
Oh, so I would have to include my brother Scott.
Of course.
I think I would quite fancy a game with Tiger.
That would work. Yep, I could go that.
And then I'd probably include my one of my good mates, Kev Logan. So he could make up the 4 ball.
Superb. That's
Then
brilliant.
we could have Dad walking around. That would be nice.
There you go. That would keep it all together as well.
Hmm.
Okay, favourite club in your bag. What's your go-to? Your favourite?
For a long time it was my 2 iron. I'd probably say now it's my driver. Aye,
I
there's
think a
nothing
lot
better
of
than
people are going that path, aren't they?
aye, absolutely.
Yeah, I think drivers. It was interesting. I was listening to another podcast today, and yeah, I mean, so many people are saying it. The driver used to, and I am old enough to know that. I'm heading for 49 this year, John, and I am
Oh,
old enough to have
seniors
played
tour
with.
Beckons.
Yeah, I'm old enough to have played with Persimmon Woods,
Hmm.
steel shafts on drivers.
Yes, I do remember them.
Yeah, so it's interesting they were saying that, like so many people, the driver used to be the toughest shot, toughest club to hit in the bag, and if you could play it, it was a massive advantage. But now, yeah, you can get advantage, but it's not quite the same because most people are hitting driver pretty well. So
Yeah,
interesting how things have changed.
I think that comes from the fitting aspect of it being so advanced now, and the adjustability and the drivers as well, which obviously helps for slicers or hookers as well, or guys that can't get the ball up in the air, or guys that hit it too high. There's definitely a lot more adjustability in the technology these days, which is great.
Yeah, totally. Right, one golf rule you'd change right away.
Eh, Go through, I'll change right away. What's yours?
Golf rule I'd change right away. Oh, oh, definitely. Well, I don't know about a golf rule per se, but certainly for pros, I'd be looking to get some kind of shot clock involved. It's
Yeah, I
getting
think
crazy.
that's 100%. Absolutely.
It is getting mad. I mean, the other week I was watching some of the PGA Tour, and I'm not going to name the player because I think doing all that's unfair at the moment. But anyway, a player takes 5 minutes to play out from the side of trees when they've basically got no shot, and the shot is take a club and hit it backwards, pretty much. And you're
Hmm.
like, 5 minutes to hit that shot? Like they knew going in, they could have hit that, and rather than saying why did that take 5 minutes, the broadcaster's like, oh wow, what a great shot, and you're like, come on, seriously,
Mm.
shouldn't it take that long?
No, I'm with you. I we definitely need to, no matter what professional level you play at or tournament, the rounds are definitely taking far too long nowadays, and like you know who the slow players are and why they're doing it or whatever. But even when you've got refs involved, there's only so much they can do, and even if you call them over and say this guy's taking forever, as soon
Yeah,
as they go on the clock, the guys speed up, and then they turn around and the ref's not there and they slow down again.
yeah. I
But
don't know if you do you listen to the Subpar podcast, the American one with Colt Knost?
I haven't yet. No.
Yeah, so it's interesting listening to Colt, who played obviously a PGA
Hmm.
Tour, and I think it's like basically 4 attempts on PGA Tour before you get close to having a penalty shot. It's like, why are we waiting 4 attempts? Just give the people a
Exactly.
penalty shot after the first warning. They'll soon speed
100%.
up.
No, absolutely. But to answer your question, the rule, so it's rule yeah, I would change.
Yep.
Well, I would add a rule. I would make it just preferred lies on closely mown areas all the time. So that
All the
means if
time.
you're in a seeded divot or you're in a divot,
There you
you just
go.
take a preferred lie from it in the fairway instead of saying what's a seeded divot or what. I know you can get relief from a seeded divot currently, but you
Yep.
used to be able to get it. I just think if you've got a poor lie in the fairway, you don't deserve to be punished.
There you go. I could get on side with that. Superb.
Mm.
And then best golf course you've not played yet, i.e., what's in your bucket list that you need to get to?
Right, well, I would like to go and play that Ard Finn. I quite fancy that one, which is in Jura. Have you heard anything about
Nice.
that?
Funny enough, I think I was on the 1457 podcast, they were talking about it. Is this a place that's quite kind of, what's the right word? Natural looking, as in it doesn't get a huge amount of attention and it's
Yeah,
pretty
well,
natural.
it's super exclusive. Let me just double check what the name of it is. I'm sure it's Ard Finn.
Uh-huh.
Aye, Ard Finn. That's the one that I want to go and play.
Nice.
Um, aye, I would say that's on the bucket list in Scotland, definitely. What about
Brilliant.
yourself?
Oh, bucket list. I have got a bucket list item coming up because I'm going to Dornoch to play up there
Oh,
and
brilliant!
then Castle Stewart and Brora, so I'm very lucky to be going up there for that.
You've not
And I
played the three
played,
of them yet?
no, not at all.
Oh, you're
I
going to have a
was
great time.
fortunate enough to play Wentworth last year, and that actually, outside of Augusta, was probably like my lifetime bucket list place to go and play because of watching Pro Celebrity Golf and all these programs you would never have seen because you wouldn't have been born, John. And Around with Alice, if you've ever heard of that.
Oh
And then
yes,
obviously the PGA Championship, the World Match Play.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like my proper bucket list. So I played that. I was lucky enough to play it a couple of times last year. So
brilliant.
yeah,
I
that
played
that
it
hit that.
once a couple of years ago, and I totally loved the course as well.
How tough is it, by the way, as well? Like,
I
oh my
I
God.
I think when you play these European tour courses and you obviously watch it on the TV and they just rip it to shreds, you don't appreciate how good they are until you actually play the courses.
No, no,
Like
it's phenomenal.
we went to, me and the wife went to Las Vegas a couple of years ago. And we went to watch the Shriners Open on the Sunday.
Oh yeah,
So we walked around with two boys from Las Vegas, which were Taylor Montgomery and Scott Percy.
oh yeah, yeah.
So we walked around with them. I think we both shot 4 or 5 under, and then I got the chance to play it on the Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
And the greens are as firm as the road out in the street there, and they were rapid. I was like, how are these boys managing to even just, if they miss a green, chip it on and get it inside a handful of feet?
I know. I mean, I've never played as close to a championship in the States, but I've played a couple of courses, and I remember getting the putting green and having a practice putt for like 8 feet and putting it off the green and thinking,
Aye,
I didn't even hit that.
yeah,
How'd that happen?
no, exactly. And then you think going up the hill, you need to give it a bit extra, and the up the
No,
hill doesn't even slow it down at all.
it is a different level, and Wentworth's definitely got that. You go to Carnoustie on a reasonably tough day, and your eyes get opened, or
Oh, big time. Especially
somewhere
those
like
last 4 or
Turnberry.
5 holes.
Yeah. Oh, the last few holes at Carnoustie are just incredible. They're so tough.
Hmm.
So yeah. Right. What else we got here? Biggest pet peeve in a golf course. What winds you up?
Slow play, same as yourself.
Okay. Anything
Uh,
else to add to that one? That's an obvious one. Anything
golfers,
else?
golfers not repairing their pitch marks or raking the bunkers, and then the
Yeah.
divots as well.
Yeah,
And
I see a bit of that going on as well. Yep.
Also, a new pet peeve for me is obviously it's great that we've got new golfers into the game,
Mm-hmm.
but there's obviously a few of them that are needing to be brushed up in the rules a wee bit. The picking your ball up in the rough to identify it and then putting it back down on top of the long grass that I'm sure you've seen around your local club at times is not so good.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I think,
Mm.
I mean, it's really nice to see so many different people coming in. I think going back, a lot of places would have had sort of help for folk when they first joined and trying to pair them with somebody that'll actually say to them, look, here's the rules, and they kind of know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
I think a lot of times now that folk are just left to it and they just jump out and they do the best they can, but they don't really know what to do.
no, exactly. You don't know any better. But I think if you go to join a golf club these days, is if you've got your card ready with your cash on it, you can join straight away and go out and play probably that day at most places.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So just getting to the end here, John, conscious of your time as well, and thanks for coming on.
No, no worries. Thanks
So
for having me.
what about any advice for golfers that are coming through and looking to turn professional? I mean, you've done a lot in that sense, so I'd love to have some feedback from you for people, thinking about turning pro, what the experience could be like for them and what they should think about.
Um, I would say advice would be for any of the younger golfers turning professional. Um, would be to do something like your PGA, get a qualification behind you if you don't have one already. But if you've already been to university and you've got that kind of back and got that kind of thing to fall back on, just make sure you've got plenty of funding because it's expensive. The costs of entering tournaments, staying at hotels, eating out, and then obviously if you're doing it properly, you'll be playing full time. So you'll need some living expenses when you're back home and you're not earning a wage. So yeah, I'd make sure you get plenty of funding.
Brilliant. And then for people to get in touch with you, John, if they're interested in Big Johnson's tour and taking part and anything else, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, I have got my own website, which is johnhenrygolf.co.uk, and then I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So I think my Instagram is at johnhenrygolf92.
Well, that's fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on, John. It's been great to hear from you.
Brilliant, Ross. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, man. Well, that's it for another episode of Link by Golf. A massive thanks to John Henry for coming on and sharing his story. It's always brilliant to hear from someone who's grafted through the ranks of Scottish golf and his passion for the game continues to shine through. A big shout out as well to Lomond Golf Tours for their support. If you've ever dreamed of teeing it up on Scotland's finest courses, they're the ones to sort you out with a proper golf experience, tailored just the way you like it. And of course, cheers to all of you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. It really helps us keep bringing you top guests from around the world of golf, and if you really liked it, share it with your friends. It makes a huge difference. That's it for now, folks. We'll catch you next time on Link by Golf.